Welcome back to the WCHE Morning Show. I'm Eric Navarro. Our co-host today is Sifus, and joining us here in the studio discussing the upcoming Rustin Day of Film taking place this Saturday, the 13th, we have Frederick Taylor. Frederick, welcome back to the show.
You know, it is always a pleasure to be here. It's like I never have left.
Right?
Yes.
We always appreciate having you on. Had you on last for the Westchester Film Festival.
That was true. That was back in April. Yeah, that was a great time. Yes, had by all, is I guess that's how you're supposed to say
Great time had by all.
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So welcome back to the show here. So as I pointed out, we're going to be discussing today the Rustin Day of Film taking place this Saturday. And Frederick, you have a big part of that this coming Saturday. What can you tell our listeners about both your role in the celebration and the event itself?
Well, I get the honor of being the moderator for the celebration as well, which I consider to be amazing and awesome. And I'd like to thank the Chester County History Center and the Westchester Film Festival for allowing me the privilege of being able to do that and to honor someone who is amazing. Mr. Rustin is a part of the history of Westchester. And he is a unique point of light because he's many different points of light. He is a man of color. He is also someone from the LGBTQ community, and he was a civil rights activist as well, who was instrumental in organizing the March on Washington, D.C. in 1963, too. And he's a Westchester guy and was born in Westchester in 1912, I believe, something like that, too. And he lived all the way until 1987.
Wow.
As well. So he had a life that was very well lived, too. So that's a lot of what we're honoring. And so it's kind of the spirit of who he was as an individual, as a person. It's not necessarily specific to his personal timeline of life. It's all of the branches from his timeline of life, where all of these different people that have been influenced by him are celebrating that. And there are several different films that are being screened. One of them will be mine. That also screened at the Westchester Film Festival earlier this year. It's the J setting thing, which does revolve around men of color and the LGBTQ community as well. But there will be other films, too, that revolve around the LGBTQ community and social justice and people of color and people transitioning as well, as far as gender identity is concerned.
Right, so 6 to 8 is when the films are going to run, correct?
Correct.
And then you're going to be moderating the discussion to follow?
I got to get up there in front of a bunch of people and do a dance and be entertaining and engaging and interesting, you know.
You do a great job of that.
Well, thank you. You guys do a wonderful job of that here as well.
We appreciate it. Now, as far as the discussion, you're going to be moderating that discussion, as I mentioned. What is your approach to leading a conversation such as one on civil rights, equality, and identity? What's going to be your approach to that?
Inclusivity. I think it's one of the things that's extraordinarily important, and I think it's one of the strengths of our culture and our society, and in particular, Westchester, Pennsylvania. It's one of the things that we've talked about in the past about Westchester that makes it so unique. There's so many people from so many other places over a very long period of time through generations. You know, whether you're talking about people coming from, you know, Eastern Europe, all the way to people coming from the Caribbean, all the way from people that are from the African diaspora and Asia, too. You know, there's a huge number of people that came here post Vietnam War. At the collapse of Saigon and things like that, too. And so this is what makes this place such an amazing and beautiful place. And that's really my approach. And that's where the connective tissue is for me, is to try to get everybody into the room and really see and appreciate who everyone is and what we are truly, really all about as a city. And it's the city that I grew up in. It's the city that has shaped and molded me. So when I go other places around the country and they're like, hey, you're weird. And I'm like, well, not in Westchester.
Right.
I have something.
Yeah.
Where is the boundary, for lack of a better term, between? So a lot of times when you're looking at like things that are curating in your algorithm, so to speak, and there is the idea of acceptance and inclusivity. It's Gay Pride Month.
Yes.
And so you see a lot of people, the word allies comes up a lot, which is, for my perspective is almost foreign. It is I've got to let you know that it's cool to be with me. That idea.
Right.
When I think to somebody, if you are coming from a place of, well, no, I never cared about some of these things. So like, if you're cool with me. And so where is there, you get the message of inclusivity. I think people have different perspectives on that. And I'm kind of challenging that a little bit, I guess. Sure. I'm playing like the other side, devil's advocate.
You're so good at this.
Whatever
this
you
is what makes
it.
This whole thing so exciting for me, because I never know how you're going to come at me.
Yeah. And and then you read things about like for yourself, like protecting your energy and don't. Who deserves your time? Who deserves to be around you? When is it time to? So for people who are maybe not as strong and they feel like they're people pleasers, or they're like, oh, well, no, I got to be nice to everybody. Well, who deserves all that? So I'm lumping a lot of things together here. But where in the idea of, hey, acceptance, I accept you for who you are, but is there also a message of, hey, you've got to earn. You must earn some personal accountability, or like you can't just be a schmo and then get invited to the table. Like that's a big phrase. Like, oh, how do you get? Why I should have a place at the table is often this thing. And there's a difference between no, you're not allowed at this table because exclusively of a thing, versus how do I? You're accepted and you could be included, but what are you bringing to the table?
Right.
I think sometimes that part of the message, what do you bring? Like, hey, I don't care what you do. If I'm on a raft and we're sinking and you want to get on my raft with me, are you just going to help me sink faster, or are you going to help me figure out how we can stay afloat? What are you bringing to the table? Does that make sense? Am I making any sense?
You're making sense to me. Okay. Now, everyone else that's listening
probably not, maybe.
Probably not.
I think there's a lot of people that have. All right, I'm curating it as we go. I'm whittling down.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that have had ideas of DEI, I guess, or inclusivity. Right. Like, you've got to accept me.
Right.
And they're coming from a place of, well, wait a minute, I don't know you. Okay. And so why, I don't have to know, like, you've got to earn my respect type of thing. So I think there's a lot of people that are on one side of this thing. And, of course, we're talking a little bit about polarity, right? There's never this, here's this line, but there probably is. Like, where are we at? Right. And so when you feel like something's being jammed down your throat and you're like, wait a minute. I don't have to do anything. Don't tell me what to do. I think there's a lot of people that feel that way.
Yes.
And so instead of like, hey, how are we, what's the other side of that, I guess? Does that make sense?
To me, it does. Once again, I think everyone else that's listening on the radio has pulled over on the side of the road and going, who is this guy?
Who is that guy
that is saying that?
I didn't have a clear thought on how I wanted to say it.
For those that know you, love you. And I've come to that conclusion, and I've really learned that in coming in and out of the radio station, that they know you. They get you, and the people that are close to you know you and get you. And I have now understood, and I know you and I get you as well. And I have an answer to your question too, my friend, because I am a person of color, and I am a person that has benefited from a democratic society where we examine and we look at certain sort of social constructs and social issues, and we say, hey, that is not equitable. Okay, so diversity, equity, and inclusion, you can trace that all the way back to Jackie Robinson. The bottom line is that the Brooklyn Dodgers got their brains beat in by the New York Yankees until they figured out, like, hey, maybe we should go get some black guys to play on our baseball team so we can beat the Yankees, okay?
Or wait,
okay.
That's a really great point.
Yep.
Do we need more black guys, or do we need to open up who is better baseball player and stop excluding black people?
That's cute, but the reality of it is that we had the Negro leagues for a very long time, and they were excluding a lot of tremendously talented players.
Gotcha.
Some of them being Josh Gibson, some of them being Satchel Paige.
Yeah.
You know, Satchel Paige would have struck out Babe Ruth a lot, and Josh Gibson would have rivaled him in the home run titles of that particular time. And that's what sort of has skewed some of the statistics of baseball prior
100%.
to. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Now I'm going to tell you another story that's also a sports thing, too. Michael Jordan, arguably, obviously, is one of the greatest basketball players of all time.
Mm-hmm. His
first 8 years in the NBA, he didn't win. He was on a team that was terrible. They could not win. And it wasn't until they fired Doug Collins, the former 76er, as the coach, and they brought in Phil Jackson. And Phil Jackson was this, like, Zen guy, the Zen master and all this other stuff. And he sat down with Michael and said, because Michael would, like, punch guys at practice, and Michael would walk out of practice, and Michael would say, you guys are terrible, you guys suck, whatever, you know, you're not up on my level.
Yeah.
You know, and guess what? Phil pointed out to him, they're never going to be. So guess what you have to do, Michael? Pass the ball. Guess what you have to do, Michael? Be a team player. You know, that's what this is about ultimately, you know, and that's one of the things that people lose in all of these conversations about gender equity, DEI, LGBTQ and things like that. Hey, we're a team. We got to play team ball here.
Is that putting the hand down to help the next guy up?
Absolutely. And we are morally obligated to that as human beings.
Yeah, I think that
as creatures of God. I mean, like, we are supposed to help other people. We do it all the time. That's what my grandmother taught me. My grandmother walked out of the fields of Memphis, Tennessee, went to Chicago, and created a platform for our family to be able to thrive, to get us to Philadelphia, to get us to Westchester. And the one thing she beat into my head all the time was that you're not better than anybody. Ever. I don't care who you are, what you are, how big you go, or how far you go, or how well you speak and carry yourself, and how dazzling you are as an urbanite. You know, you're never better than anybody else.
Yeah.
And that is something that I preach to a lot of people, too, and I really try to demonstrate. And that's what this particular event is about. And that's who Mr. Rustin was. He was someone that never thought of himself as better than anybody else. And that was something that was really, you know, instilled into his mind as a young man through the people in his family that influenced him. And that's what's so important, that we have to reach out to people. It's like if you saw someone bleeding on the side of the road, you'd pull over and help them.
Sure.
Right. No questions asked, no matter who they were or what they were. You would not even ask. You'd be like, that's a human being.
We could oversimplify this and say the rising tide raises all ships. And so you're part of that. As a human, one human being to the other. I think societally we've gotten, because there have been such different levels of inequality or absence or blockading or gatekeeping, whatever fancy phrase we want to use today. This idea of, and people get this mixed up between equality and equity, and they kind of mishmash this, but they've turned it into such a big thing that they miss, the forest through the trees, so to speak. And in the day-to-day, if we're doing these things, we wouldn't have to worry about it as much institutionally.
Correct.
And I'm a huge fan of the, start with the man in the mirror, clean up your own backyard. What are you doing in your own circle? That should be big. And that influences then the bigger thing. Right. It shouldn't be the other way around. And I feel like societally we're out of balance in that way, is that we're looking for the big thing, the thing at the top, whether that's government or influence to tell us what to do, how to act kind of thing.
Right.
And it shouldn't be that way. It should be the big thing, the government, is a reflection of who we are and what we're doing in our day-to-day.
Yeah, and here's the thing that bleeps all of that up. It's the money. We're a rich, rich, rich country. And people see the money. And people go to work every day thinking like, someday I'm going to be rich. Someday I'm going to have a fancy car. Someday I'm going to have a big house.
Yeah, I don't think that's where it's at.
I know, but that's society has taught us that and bred that into us.
Right. Alan Watts says that's the big scam.
It is. It's a huge scam. It's a terrible scam. You know, and I've seen it reflected in my life. There are people that don't have anything to do with me because I just don't make enough money, which that's their loss. But it took me some time to grow as an individual and mature to say, I'm comfortable with that. But when you're young, you chase the dragon all the time, you know, and I've lived long enough to watch a lot of people just burn out trying to do that. And that's a very dangerous game to play. And the quality of life is like what you and I do. Like we see each other now. We're happy to see each other. Give each other a hug. Yeah. We don't even shake hands anymore. It's getting a little close. You know, I've got to re-examine our relationship.
I'm sorry. I'm a hugger.
You are a hugger. And I found that out the hard way. You know, I got no memo on that.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Right.
You know, and then you have this energy, you know, and you want to connect, and, you know, you got like heart chakras and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. It's probably because you work out all the time.
Yeah, I'll be doing the news sometimes. You'll just come over and give me a hug.
I believe it. I believe you.
When you talk about we're a very rich country, the globe, I wanted to Google this up because I've seen this, and of course it changes, but the average, you guys get to guess, the average yearly individual income in the world, what do you think it is?
$5,000
per person?
Per person.
Like the average, like if you took everybody in the entire planet
and averaged it out,
what is the average
in American dollars?
In American
US dollars, I'd say under $5,000.
Yeah, that's a good guess.
Yeah, that's
12 to 18 grand.
Mm. Yeah, so I definitely at the over
like
under
pure currency,
20.
of course.
Oh yeah, like whatever you make. Yeah, I would say that's accurate.
The median personal income.
Yeah.
The median. So now we're kind of averaging. We're taking the bell curve of the highs and the super highs and the super lows out of it. You were correct. It's about $3,000.
Yeah.
A year.
Yeah, and
isn't that crazy?
No, it is crazy. And I had the opportunity to go to Kenya, and I saw people working for $2 a day. I saw what that is.
Yeah.
I've been into villages where people live in tin huts with dirt floors in mud, and the life expectancy was 40. I've seen it. I've been around it, and it is unbelievably humbling and unbelievably unnecessary. But these are still things that are going on in our world, and these people are being exploited because they are doing things for the industrialized parts of the world.
I think that's the thing that gets lost in capitalism, in general conversations. I think the average person is like, well, that's, whatever. The Archie.
Who are these average?
I don't know. Well, they're wacky.
Yes.
But the idea that, like tax the rich, and they're like, no, and then, like the whatever.
Right.
But it's like, well, you're like in our clothing conversation earlier on in the show, and it's like, I'm going to buy this crap off of Temu or whatever, and somebody's making it. They're making $2 a day. I'm buying it for $20, but that guy's not getting, he's getting $2 for the day, and he makes 1,000 shirts. You know what I mean? And it is in that something, somebody had to come up with the idea, but when we use these words exploited, and they're like, well, they have a choice, and it's like, well, no, man.
They don't.
I don't think a lot of people really understand.
And they don't want to understand. And here's the back end of that, too, with that
fast
fashion stuff. I have a friend who is very much in the fashion industry, and she's
like
very...
Sheen, we're talking about.
Crap. And you know what it does? It's not biodegradable. So it ends up in a hole somewhere, polluting the rest of the world. Yeah. And so that's the big payback with that. Yeah. And so for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. We live in a yin and yang universe.
Yeah.
Anybody that wants to really study culture as a whole, as a global entity, knows that. So yes, we're exploiting these people, and they're making crappy fashion, and then someone buys it for $20. And then they
don't care about it because it was $20.
They wear it 20 minutes, and they throw it in the trash, and it ends up in a landfill, and it ends up polluting the water and the animals and the air
like
and all this other stuff. And then 100 years from now, we're all wondering why we're dying, or that, like, you know, it's been raining in Westchester for 40 days and 40 nights, apparently. It's going to be 92 degrees today.
That's right. Eric's building an ark.
Yeah. And it's June. And isn't that a little weird? You know, people have to decide, like, when are we going to, what's the threshold where, are we already experiencing environmental changes? And maybe some of these environmental changes are caused by our sort of social biases through capitalism.
I don't think, I think we could all, if we, you know, gather a group of people and put them in a room and try to make them from all different backgrounds or whatever.
Yes.
You know, we were
That's
like,
called the UN.
Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you don't think we should pollute more, right? Everybody's going to raise their hand. Raise your hand.
I don't know. There are some people now that I think would raise their hand and say, yes, I want to pollute more because I'm going to make more money. There's some weirdos out there now. They say some crazy stuff. There's some very...
Are they doing that, though, just to say that? They really don't feel that way?
I don't know. But
I think that gets lost in a lot of conversations.
I guess so. Are those the same guys that catcall in the club? Like, I don't know. Like, do they really mean what they're saying to this woman or not? But they're still saying it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, it's like in this moment, you're like, oh, I'm just kidding around. And it's like, yeah, but
are you?
Are you?
Really?
Right. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I've struggled with that myself. Like, you know, as a man, and you're like, you know, this idea.
That internal programming that you have, and you're like, oh, my God, I'm a biased jerk.
Oh.
And I need to fix myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible.
You always, I think you get to a point where you want to be better. Like working.
You have to be better, or you're not going to be satisfied as a human being in your soul as you move through life. And as you make that transition into whatever life there is after this one, you better get right, you know?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of merit to everything you just said there. Working in corrections made me less biased.
Yeah.
And it was one because I was, went from a small pool of being around, a small pool of diversity to a larger pool of diversity. And so the first lesson was like, oh, POSs come in all shapes, sizes, creeds, religions, colors.
Yeah.
That's like, everybody can be a jerk. And then it was like, oh, wait a minute. There's lots of different things going on here, and it's not just so simple. And then, working around a whole different group of people or different demographics, you are like, well, right, we're on the same team.
Yeah, we are.
When you're, it's one of those like, you
got to pass the ball, man. It's just like, think about Jordan. Remember back when the Bulls were great, and it would be, game 7, game 6, they're trying to close it out. For years, he would pass that ball to like Steve Kerr or to Paxson, and they would take that game-winning shot, and they would go on and win the championship.
Yeah, I don't know who any of those people are. I'm sorry.
I do.
Okay, but
Eric's appreciating this.
It didn't take anything away from the legacy of Michael Jordan. And it wasn't until that last championship against Utah where he finally took that shot. And remember, he's standing there and he's posing like a statue and the whole deal. Yeah. So he humbled himself because he had talent that was God-given beyond anything. He was Babe Ruth of basketball, essentially. And the way that he won was to be able to bring up everybody else around him and make them better and have the intestinal fortitude and insight to be able to pass that ball to win the game and say, I don't have to be the guy that gets the game-winning shot because we're a team and we win as a team.
I think you bring up a great, that's a great point, perspective, whatever you want to say, because these things, when we talk about things that are bigger, growing, learning, it is coming from a growth mindset, and fear, want, lack are all shrinking, fixed mindset type things. Yes. They're the shadow things. I'm going to sneeze.
Oh, my God.
Oh, that was my
I'm glad you're in another room with glass. Like, what is that?
Yeah, you would have gotten a shower, I think.
Worse than that, you might have, passed on some pathogen to me.
Broke the mic.
Yeah.
Or broke the mic or whatever.
My throat's sore from that.
Well, I know you've upset everyone again.
Sorry.
Listening in on this broadcast.
I know. Barry he's like, stop sniffing in the mic. I'm like, I didn't even know I do it.
That's disgusting.
I'm sorry. It is. I really tried to
Men
curtail
can't
it.
do that. You know that men should not sniff in public like that. Unless it's like 1745.
I have my kerchief.
And you're in France. Exactly.
I have my kerchief in my cuff. But the shrink mindset, the smallness of things, and this goes back to, like, societally. If you're this guy or person, woman, whatever, and you're working for $2 a day and you're just trying to survive, the fear of surviving, like, I don't have much and I've got to, I'm fighting all the time. I'm in survival mode.
Yeah. I
think that goes along with, that mindset goes along with the economics of our globe, because when we are sharing and collaborating and we're not so worried about survival, like my growth didn't happen when I was in survival mode, emotionally. It stopped, when I was able to get to a place where I could take a breath in, be surrounded with support. I think that's the pieces of acceptance and inclusivity that is the hand down, providing, like, it took me a long time when people use these words, safe space, my journey, all these buzzwords, and you're like, oh man, what does that even mean? And it's like, do you not want to know what it means, or is the meaning, or is it picking at the scab of your smallness? And it's like, oh, all right, now if I have space to take a breath, I can breathe easier.
Right.
And if I have the space to have an opportunity, then I have the opportunity to prove myself.
Yes.
I also have the opportunity to fail.
Absolutely. And that's a part of life, too.
That's a part of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and we do need safe spaces. And, we've all grown up in Westchester here. We knew what it was like growing up, and we can all remember those safe spaces and those unsafe spaces. Some of the cruelest people I ever knew growing up were in Westchester. And they would be mean to people.
Yeah.
And they would beat them up, and they would treat them bad. If you were a guy that was short and not athletic or whatever, people would steal your lunch money, all kinds of stuff. And they would put down all of the other kids and the diverse kids, or the kids that, maybe were LGBTQ or, on the spectrum, or a little bit more non-binary or whatever. It was a horrible place to be here sometimes. And, the worst group of people that I ever saw people be cruel to were Polish people. Still to this day, people still make jokes about Polish people.
I never thought of that.
It's terrible. It's horrible. And for me as a person of color, of African descent, it's weird. Because I'm like, they're Polish. What does that? I don't get why. I don't even understand what the problem is, and why people have an issue with Polish people versus if they're Irish or they're Italian or they're Czech or whatever.
There's plenty of Irish and Italian jokes out there.
There are, but there's something cruel and dismissive about a Polish joke that I still don't get. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I wonder where that came from.
I don't know.
Is that a World War II thing?
Maybe we should ask AI.
Let's do it. I'm going to do it right now.
I believe you. That's why I said this, because I knew that you would do this.
All right, what should I ask it?
While you're doing that, I want to tie it back to the Rustin Day real quick. So for someone who hasn't attended Rustin Day before, what can they expect this weekend when they walk through the door?
Community, number one. They will walk into a room with people of all different shapes, sizes, and colors and backgrounds that are all excited to be there. There's going to be a docket of 80 minutes of film. And once again, film sort of giving you a journey through the world of people that come from these, so-called marginalized communities. I don't believe these people are marginalized. We just live in a society that for some perceive them as outsiders. Mm-hmm. But what you have the opportunity to do is go inside of these worlds and inside of these communities and not only learn something about them, but also more importantly, I think, learn something about yourself. And then I get to stand in front of everybody and try to be super entertaining and make people laugh and comfortable. And that sort of jocularity of connecting the room with everyone as well. And no one's left out. And that's the beauty of this particular event, is that everyone is included, the way that originally Mr. Rustin wanted this to happen. And that's who he was as a person, even when he would be excluded from certain spaces because he was gay. And even though he was there to fight for civil rights, even inside the civil rights world, there was biases against people that were involved in same-sex relationships too. But he still pushed through and fought through that in spite of all of that.
Well, on a deeper level, and we have some deep conversations here, and the next question I had for you is on that level. Why do you think that Rustin's message still resonates with audiences in 2026?
Because we're still marching. It's that great speech by Martin Luther King. I've been to the mountaintop. I might not get there with you. We're still trying to get to that same mountaintop. We're still working. We're still pushing forward. And we see that when we see people that are injured and hurt in the streets. We see people that are accidentally killed by law enforcement for no reason at all. And I'm going to be honest with you and be very straightforward. It's like the young woman in Minnesota that was killed, by ICE agents. And the only thing she was doing was trying to turn her car around and get out of there. She was not a terrorist. She was a citizen of the United States and a mother, and she's dead. So we're still trying to get there. And so that's what this is about, is standing up for all people. It's not a gay issue. It's not a black issue. It's not an immigrant issue. It's a humanitarian issue. And that's the thing that I'm really trying to change, that I work for as a filmmaker, that I think this event works for as well, is to take the humanitarian conversation out of the political box. Mm-hmm. We have politicized humanity. And that is what is really injuring us as a society and as a culture. And as Martin Luther King had said, just do what the Constitution says. Just do what the words say on the page, and we're going to be okay. And we need to get back to that, because we're sort of vacating that. Mm-hmm. And all of this discussion about changing rules and laws and amendments and things like that is slowing us down, and it's allowing the rest of the world to catch up and pass us. And when they pass us, they're going to give us the finger, and they're never going to let us back into the game. Mm-hmm. And we are going to be and they're going to look at us and say, oh, yeah, that's America. That's that bleep hole country.
Right. Now, in addition to, you mentioned your film that you have coming up this week, and of course you'll be moderating.
Yes.
What are some of the other films that'll be in it? Do you have information on those?
Yeah. There's another one called White Meat Appetizer. That
was for, I remember that. From the film festival.
And there's actually several films. That's one of the ones that I really like and enjoy too. That's a lot of fun. I'm gonna give you a quick rundown of these films. One is called This Is Jan, which is another film. It's about a middle-aged man who is challenged with transitioning. I guess that's the best way to put it. Another film called Together We Thrive. Another film called America. Another film called Such a Pretty Girl, which is about a young boy who is, again, in transition as well. And then Pride of Texas, which is about a rodeo for LGBTQ people, which I find to be delightful. And then there is mine. And that is If Cities Could Dance, which is about J-setting. And J-setting is the dance style that we see so much now in music videos and things like that. And it was invented by black gay men.
Eric has taken a J-setting class as of recently.
I would love that. I think we all should. It's actually very aerobic, and it's good for you.
It does not look easy or like, easy. It looks like a workout.
It is a workout.
Crazy.
It's super athletic.
My knees would explode in some of those when they do that. What do they call it when they do the drop? What's that called? Like there's like a term for it. They go like boom, like drop down and like with the
That just sounds like falling, and it looks painful.
No, they do this like drop, like where they like drop down on their their knees all bent back.
Do they drop it like it's hot?
No, not quite like that.
Steve has them lost.
I don't know. There's
I just love that he's up on urban slang.
There's a term for it. I know you know it, damn it.
Right.
It'll come to me later.
It'll come to you. Yeah, they call it something. Now I got to look that up. Anyway, I found out where Polish humor comes from, or Polish jokes.
Okay.
which I was correct. It has to do with World War II propaganda. So
propaganda. How about that? World War II.
Project Paperclip, check it out. Yeah, because Poland had been occupied by various other countries and things, it was like a push of like, they're Polish. Like somebody's always had to take them over because they're too dumb to do it themselves, kind of thing.
That is terrible.
It is terrible.
That is absolutely positive.
What it is making a joke of, probably thousands of years of being occupied by other cultures and governments and empires, etc.
Right. So are we going to make fun of Ukrainians like that someday?
I think people already are.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of Ukrainians and they're wonderful people.
I think people are either, crappy or wonderful or somewhere on the polarity of things.
War is so insignificant now, and it is such an incredible waste of time, and there is no upside to war at all, ever, anymore. I am so exhausted and tired of it.
Yeah, it's often, do you know Smedley Butler?
I do not.
It's called War is a Racket. It's a very short read. It was written by this guy who... Smedley Butler. He was like up in the chief of staff or something, and he wrote War is a Racket. And and this was like written in the 1900s, I believe. He talks about, why do countries really go to war? And it has a lot more to do with the economics of things than it does about anything else. But
that's what we're playing around with right now, because we are trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in debt, as there are certain places in the world that are accelerating past us. And there's a certain place in the world that has all the superconductors. And it's a little tiny island off the coast of China that we're supposed to be protecting, that China would like to have back. What happens if China just decides tomorrow they want it back? Guess what? We're in a war.
We're in big trouble.
We are in big trouble. Because one thing we won't be able to do is invade them.
Yeah.
So now what happens?
There's a lot of things like that.
And that's terrible. That's frightening.
Especially with the Middle East. If you, I heard, I can't remember this guy's name, but he unpacked sort of the whole issue of Middle East because the UAE or whatever. We talked about it several weeks ago, Eric, and there was all kinds, the coalition over there. Like, we back that up with our military. So if we pull out of that, then it's like, they just created this city in the desert. Like, it doesn't have its own infrastructure support system, its own military to protect itself. So who's stopping it from the other country who does have an established military to just come in and take it over? And that happens or is happening or has the potential to happen all over the world. And that's why I think, like, when people go like, we got to stop policing everything, again, it comes to this issue of it's not always that simple.
It's not that simple.
If you just pull out, then you're just leaving this whole culture of thing that you have allowed, you've helped support and create, and then you're just like, all right, guys, it would be like the idea of taking babies into the woods, and then you protect them, and then they get to like 5, and then you go, all right, cool, we're out of here, and then they're going to get eaten.
Right.
Or starve. Or,
sure.
They're not, it's like, you got to create your own things to and so then, like, in Japan was one particular thing that went all the way back into this Middle East thing, and was like, we have had such military presence in Japan after World War II that they have not put any money or time into building up any type of military thing. So then they're just like, all right, well, now we got to stop all this technical innovation because we've got to shift focus on surviving and protecting ourselves, and it's always this just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case somebody wants to come in and take us over for resources or whatever. And it's like, all right, so how long is that going to push these technological advancements back or whatever? Or what does that do to that economy? How does that affect the world economy? It's such a weird
It really
thing.
is. I mean, it's what created the vacuum for World War II. I mean, that was Adolf Hitler's whole stance that if we're only protecting ourselves, we need Lebensraum. We need to be able to be autonomous. And he just started running ripshod, and everybody kind of pulled out and said, okay, we'll just leave him alone. Yeah. Oh, wait, he just took Poland. Oh, wait, he just took the Czech Republic. Oh, wait, he just took Austria. Right. And then all of a sudden he's like taking France and bombing England.
Yeah.
Until we get the point that we've got to go in and, okay, now we've got to storm the beaches of Normandy and stop this guy. I don't want it to get to the beaches of Normandy again before we have this vacuum of evil.
Yeah.
And where that's going to come from, we don't know. It's like you said, in the Middle East, we pull out. Who's going to come in?
Yeah.
And they're going to come in and they're going to like wipe everything out. They're going to take it over and control it. And then what are we going to do?
Mm-hmm.
And we're not even prepared.
Mm-mm.
We're depleted. Russia's depleted. And we're supposed to be the two superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
And we're walking around with a limp like we've got sciatica.
Mm-hmm.
And believe me, I know what sciatica is all about.
Mm-hmm.
So, Frederick, we had a couple more minutes left and really appreciate you coming on here. The last question I had here for you is, as far as Rustin Day and as far as your work, where can people go to get, one, more information on your work, and then, secondly, the Rustin Day celebration this weekend?
More information on my work, you can go to tomorrowpictures.com and find my company, or you can just Google FR, the number 3D, ER, the number 1CK, and you will get everything about me. For more on Rustin Day, you can go to two places, and that would be the Westchester Film Festival, of course, and then also the Chester County History Center, of course. And both of those places have presence on Instagram and also Facebook, and you can just Google them, too. And you'll immediately see what is happening for Rustin Day, because they both are promoting Rustin Day very aggressively right now in their marketing. So it'll pop right up and you'll be able to figure out if you would like to come. And I encourage you to come. I encourage all people to come, as many as possible. I'd love to see everyone fill the room and it be standing room only. Apparently, we're going to have candy.
It did say concessions will be available.
Yes. Well, I was with...
I didn't know what that meant. Will there be hot dogs?
I don't know, because that gets messy.
Hot dogs?
I mean, we see what happened at the Phillies game before they throw them.
Hot dogs, mustard, ketchup. What do you put on your hot dog? Is it like relish and onions and a bunch of stuff?
If it's good.
Okay, that's
plain.
My point. Oh, plain. So like high quality kosher, a kosher hot dog.
I mean, it has to start off with a high quality wiener, and then
doesn't everything?
The delivery system must also be.
What kind of show is this?
Good.
You know something? I thought this was a family-oriented morning
show. We're talking about hot dogs.
Right.
Right. Nothing wrong with that. It's all American hot dog.
You say so.
There we go. But
so 6 to 8 Saturday. Yep. There's a 90-minute block of films.
Correct.
$10 for a ticket.
Yes.
After the 90 minutes, we're doing a filmmaker Q&A, which you are moderating with other filmmakers.
Yes.
And it is the Rustin Day of Film.
Yes, and we're taking questions from the audience, too. So I'm going to really encourage people to engage as well.
As they should.
Yes.
I think it's one of the things I was like reading through on the Chester County History Center as their little blip synopsis, if you will, of what the Rustin Day of Film is about, is it mentions that Bayard Rustin was openly gay.
Yes, that is true.
So... which I think that comes from a time where, it's like, oh, you are, whatever the history is of Bayard Rustin, of what that would look like, adding a different layer of things, because there were, there's always been gay people.
Since the dawn of time, all the way back to the cave times.
Right.
There was gay cavemen.
Gay cavemen. And then what does that look like being openly gay in that time?
Difficult.
I would think.
And it required a tremendous amount of courage and intestinal fortitude.
Yeah.
Which makes me respect the man even more.
To live your life.
To live your life, exactly. You live your life. I mean, you wear a beard.
Mm-hmm.
I would never wear a beard, but I don't judge you for that.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I had a conversation with a family member who had there was like a gay uncle.
Yes.
And he during this time period, he would have lived as well. And it was not his family, like they never said until his death, like, oh, I wonder what that was like. And the person I knew in the family was like, oh, now he's the gay uncle? Just now we're talking about it after he has passed away, after his father had never accepted him, like all these kinds of things that came into this conversation. And the person was kind of poking at their older family member who had like kind of come out and said like, oh, that must have been so hard for them. And it's like, well, right. And we never talked about like this person being a child. It was never discussed.
Right.
So he was not openly gay. But it was like kind of, it was one of those things where you all know who the gay uncle is, but nobody ever talks about it. And then it's like.
Yeah, I'm aware. Like I have that same dynamic in my family, and it's soul crushing because this particular gay uncle is now gone, and he was someone that I was very close to, that I really admired and respected. But it troubled me greatly growing up as a kid, watching everyone sort of keep him at arm's length.
There you go. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and it's wrong. It's morally apprehensible, and everyone that kept him at arm's length will have to eventually come to some sort of reckoning about that.
Yeah.
I know in my heart I didn't feel that way, but I know other people in my family did. And I pray for them, because that's terrible. We're all human beings. And think about how much that other human being hurt by being kept at arm's length.
Yeah.
You have to think about that. It's more than just about you. It's about what you're doing to somebody else.
Well, I think that's where the problem lies in. And I learned this, I wish I would have learned it a lot earlier as a father, was this idea of what am I doing as a parent? My job is to keep my children safe. I can provide opportunities to them, but ultimately is their life. I don't want to make it
just like it's your life.
I don't want to make it a mini me.
Yeah.
But I lived my first child, who is now 31. Of course, I wanted him to be like me. And how confining and small that is, instead of sitting back and enjoying my hand in watching you become who you are. That doesn't mean you let them just, willy-nilly do whatever they want. There's, you know what I mean? There has to be some parameters for safety and learning. You're providing these opportunities. I think that sounds very hippy-dippy-ish to certain people.
That's mentoring. I mean, that's a guiding hand that we do that as a community.
Yeah, it's the limiting
we're all
of your
there.
ego.
It's the village that helps to raise the child.
I think a lot of it has to do with ego. Like I want you, like I don't want to be embarrassed by you as my child. And I can say here, apologetically that I felt that way at various times.
Right.
Like you're making me look bad. Kind of that, maybe I didn't say it, but feeling that way. Instead of going like, well, no, why? You're making these choices. But it's often, we do that as a society. Like, look what you're letting your kid do.
Right. We have to learn how to control our narcissistic tendencies. I mean, when they come up and they come to mind, we have the choice or the ability to say, no, I'm not going to do that, or I'm not going to act on that.
Yeah.
And we need to evolve as people and as individuals. And it's hard. Yeah, life is hard.
Yeah, don't get it wrong. Like, It's not like, oh, you just make a choice and you're a better person. It's like, no, there's lots of programming, man, that you are trying to beat the matrix
completely
on.
And people,
everything your parents said, all the stuff you've watched, the propaganda of commercialism and do this and do that, and this is how you're a good person and all those things.
I know he's not a man because he doesn't smoke the same cigarettes as me.
Yeah, you're not a Marlboro man.
Exactly.
You smoke those real thin, girly cigarettes.
Slim cigarettes. What kind of man are you?
Have you ever watched Mad Men?
Not
HBO
like
show
the whole thing. I've watched episodes
so good.
and stuff like that. It's disturbing is what it is.
It is disturbing.
It's frightening.
My oldest son watched that because I was watching, I had watched it after the fact kind of thing. Like, I wasn't like on HBO. It was like after the fact. I think it came on Netflix or whatever. I started watching it and my son was like, well, is this like for real? And I'm like, yeah, dude. Yeah. A very, not everything. Of course there's dramatic license there, but like, yeah. Uh-huh.
It's disturbing. I mean, that's I think it's hard for me to watch it.
Everybody was drunk. Everybody smoked cigarettes.
Yeah, my parents grew up in that
era. And everybody was racist.
Yeah, I know. And my parents were black, and they grew up in that era. And both my parents have PhDs, and they aspired to be something in the midst of all of that. And if they didn't have the courage to push through, like Bayard Rustin, I wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be the person that I am. And that's extraordinarily important that we all push through because we're pushing for the next generation of people. I asked my grandmother once, like, why did you leave the cotton fields of Memphis, Tennessee? She said, so her grandchildren could have a better life. And I said, you hadn't even had your kids yet. She's like, yeah, I know. Because that's how we thought back then. You thought about things that were beyond your own existence. Now, in our narcissistic world, we can't think about anything past next Tuesday. And that's pathetic.
Yeah, I think that's well said. So that takes us to the end here, Frederick. Really appreciate you coming on, and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we can't wait. Listen, Chester County History Center, the Westchester Films Festival, they're all providing some help and sponsorship, but it's at the Chester County History Center.
Correct.
It's the Rustin Day of Film. It is the third edition of this Rustin Day of Film, celebrating a lot of things going on 6 to 8 p.m. Saturday. $10 ticket. You can't beat that.
Nope.
90 minutes block of short films, including our great guest, Frederick Taylor, and his film. It is called...
Oh, my film?
Yes, sir.
J Setting.
J Setting.
If Cities Could Dance, J Setting, Atlanta.
If Cities Could Dance.
It was on PBS.
And then... Oh, what a big deal.
And it won an Emmy.
Oh, I had no idea. And then Filmmaker Q&A moderated by our great guest, Frederick Taylor. There will be snacks. I don't know what kind of snacks.
I don't think there's going to be hot dogs.
It's not going to be hot dogs.
But it's those other stuff. You'll be okay. There's some delicious popcorn, some very unique, like really good popcorn that you get at the film festival.
Sure.
They're going to have that there, too.
You said this interesting thing about doing things like for the next generation.
Yes.
A big, the idea of doing something better than yourself. And it immediately reminded me of this quote: "A society grows great when old men plant trees whose shade they know they will never sit in."
That is what life is really all about.
Really, it's about planting.
It's not about you. It's about everybody else.
Yeah.
And if it's about everybody else, then somebody's thinking about you, and you'll be okay. It's called trust, faith, all of this other stuff.
I love it.
All of these real values that people don't want to really think about anymore.
Thank you, Frederick.
You got it, brother.
Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Best of luck this weekend. And anytime you want to come in, you're always welcome.
I'm going to come back again. I have to come back again in July. For something.
We'll be here.
For something. We'll be here for something.
I'll be back.
Sounds good. So
awesome.
Thank you so much, Frederick.